Welcome back to Prof E Plays. I am Prof E, and we are going to be making a character for basic role playing. Story is, tonight I was doing some grading, thought to myself, I am tired of grading. I instead would rather make a character for basic role playing. So that's what we're going to do. Right, so here I am using I think it just came out maybe a year or two ago, right? It's the just generic basic role playing system. This system is a D100 based system, which means you roll a D100, and if you roll underneath whatever your skill level is, you succeed. At least on typical rolls, right? So that really means that your rating, basic part about it is your rating is your chance of success. So that makes it very easy for you to just very quickly say, as a game master, say, well, what do I think the odds are this NPC that I haven't bothered to stat up is going to succeed at this particular task? I think it's 40%. Ta-da, now you know exactly what you're rolling. So it's great. And also, as a player, you can look and say, oh, well, I know exactly what my chance of success is. Right. So I'm going to, as I've been doing with any of these um, games that are kind of a generic system, I'm going to create, okay, this is only my second one doing that, but I'm going to create R, my Techno Mage, who I originally played in Mage the Ascension. Right, so let's go ahead and do that. So my name is R, my player. Yeah, this one, for some reason, this is pausing significantly as I move from one cell to another. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Okay, but I want gender now. M. All right, now I have here one of the files that comes with this when you buy the PDF. It is a character generation chart, which kind of walks you through a 10-step process. That's what I'm going to do. So I've got name, my name, gender. Got that taken care of. I'm not bothering with the other stuff right now. Uh, we'll see. I may do some of it later. Now characteristics is the next thing. So I need to roll 3d6. I don't have my dice with me back in my bedroom where I'm relaxing because it is cold in my garage, so I don't want to record there. I have my die roller app, so I'm going to go ahead and roll my 3d6, and this is for strength first. Got a 13 there. Let it take a second here to. I think maybe what it's doing is that it's saving my entry in one cell because, like, when I clicked immediately from one where I hadn't entered anything, like that was immediate. Okay, well, whatever. So strength is 13, which, hey, that's pretty good on a 3d6 roll. At most, it's going to be 18, so between 18 and 3 at the worst. Oh, Constitution, on the other hand, is terrible. It's a 5. All right. Now I skip size. Do roll for power, dexterity, and charisma. So skip down to power. All right, so his power level is 9, so about a little below average. Right. Dexterity. Now, I will say I'm going to create not using any of the optional rules, so even though it would make sense since it's an urban fantasy setting to talk about education, I'm not going to bother with that. Right. And 9 again for dexterity. And then finally, charisma. All right. It looks like my charisma is an 11. Good. Then I need to also roll for two other stats, that is intelligence and size, but this is a 2d6 plus 6. Right, so size is a 4 plus 6 would be a 10, so he's average sized. All right, so once this loads, 10, and then intelligence, do the same kind of thing. Let's see. 6. Okay, 6 plus 6, 12, so also basically average intelligence. All right. And then we are allowed, according to the guidelines, I can redistribute up to 3 points if I wish. I don't think I want to. Although I don't know, strength is kind of high for him, so I think what I'm going to do, I am actually going to reallocate some points. Strength, instead of having that be 13, which okay, R is a techno mage. I'm gonna guess that like working out is not his main source of power. So I'm gonna take his 13, knock that down to a 10, and instead turn up his power level, which is what determines your um like ability to cast spells, for example. I'm gonna turn that into a 12. Right, so he's not particularly remarkable. Maybe like the one remarkable thing about him is that He has like no constitution. That's the remarkable thing about this guy. Right, the next thing we need to do is handle magic and powers. So in order to do that, I need to flip to the magic section of the book. Right, so let me pop over to that. I have to switch which PDF I'm looking at on my tablet here. All right, so 55 is the page, but I think PDF page is slightly higher than that just because of how they listed things. Yes, power, here we go. All right, now I'm going to play this as kind of a normal level, right? So it says characters have no one or a few minor powers, sometimes barely more than an extraordinary talent. This power level is most suitable for horror and modern adventure settings where technology and wits are often the decisive factor in survival. But you know, I'm still going to go with it. Right, so normal power level. Your character begins with one power set at the normal power level. All right, cool. So I'm going to do magic. Magic is the power set, I suppose. Yep, that makes sense. How magic works. So it's treated like any other skill. You spend power points based on your power, right, to fuel spells. Okay, let's see. When it comes to power points, anything mentioned here? How many points we get? Okay, not yet. Spend power points to fuel spells. That's the idea. Alright, fairly simple. There's always a cost and one power point per level of the spell. Okay. And what else have we got here? I'm just trying to figure. Okay. Initial spells by power level. That's what I need to know. Because I'm not so much worried about everything else. Okay. A magician knows 4 spells of their choice with a beginning skill equal to int plus 1. Alright, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit and see where's the space for my spells. I think it might be on the second page actually. Okay, second page here. Powers, right here it is. Okay, awesome. And beginning skill of int times 1. Well, I'll have to go back there in a minute. Okay. So, first power. Let's see. Oh, magic spell summary. So remember, he's a techno mage where his main ability would be something like teleportation. So I think it makes sense to make teleport one of them. Right, so I'm just going to put teleport here. So teleport. What we know about teleport is that its cost to use right here is 1. Another thing, I like this idea of vision. Vision's another one. So since he's space, and the way this worked in Old Mage, it was this. Um, I think I played the revised edition maybe, but in any case, uh, it was space oriented um, abilities. Included things like your ability to see other locations. So we'll have vision here as well. Vision also, I believe, costs 1. Yes, it does. All right. What else might he have? Let's see. I think that I've given him illusion before. Yeah, I like the idea of illusion. Let's put that in here. All right. Illusion, how much does that cost? It's 1. And then finally, need one last. Hmm. I'm thinking maybe something like Oh, dull is interesting. Actually, no, let's dispel. Dispel. And that's also just one. All right. So that would be that. Now, what I don't see here, and this kind of bothers me, is I don't see where I'm supposed to like write down. Um, I don't see where I'm supposed to write down my like my skill level, right? So like it says, right, beginning skill equal to int times one, but it's like since this is all listed under powers, I don't think that it doesn't make sense to me that is magic one of the skills? Well, let me scroll back up and look. I didn't think it was, but I could easily be forgetting something. Okay. And sleight of hand is a skill, I guess. Um, but I don't think that's it. No, that does not. It does not appear to be. So I don't know. Whatever. All right. So in terms of power level, I'm pretty sure your starting power level. I'm just looking at some of these things. Boy, I'm become a magician. Success levels, and then we have the different spells are described, and that's that. Okay. Well, I mean, I could fill in all the details here, but I really don't know that just like me typing these things in is going to be that meaningful. But one thing that is not clear to me is exactly how many PowerPoints I get. So I think I'm going to have to flip that back a bit toward the character creation section because I think that is actually described in the book itself. It's just something that didn't make it over into. Oh, here, PowerPoints. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's one of the derived characteristics, so I'm just not that far yet. That's what it is. All right. Cool. All right. So we've got our powers chosen, at least. Now, the next thing is age and experience. So, default age, it says, is 17 plus 1d6. So, I'm going to go ahead and roll my 1d6 on my phone, and it's a 5. So, his age then would be 22. There we are. All right, and then there's a bunch of stuff about how you can like adjust things for age, but you know what? I am not. It's that simple. Then we need to calculate out our characteristic roles. But you know, the nice thing about this is the fillable PDF. Uh, it automatically did that for me. It's like I don't actually have to do anything for that, right? So it's what it is. You take your characteristic, you multiply by 5, and then that gives you what your percentile is for that characteristic, and we're done with that. Cool. Your damage bonus. So I'm thinking that would probably be this damage modifier it's talking about here. You take your strength plus your size. So for me, that's a total of 20, and you consult the relevant table. So a total of 20 damage modifier. Oh, there is none. So let's just leave that blank. I guess I could put a 0 just to make it very clear that in fact it is 0. Then I also need to go through and do my hit points. Oh dear, I'm in trouble. Hit points is constitution plus size divided by 2, but you get to round up. So that does mean that I have 8 hit points. And then the major wound is half of that. Alright, so 8 hit points, which is not the same as 2. 8 hit points. Major wound is half of that, which would be 4, because I can do arithmetic if I really try. Um, there it is. And then I need my number of power points. So other side, we circle the number of power points on the second page. Once I convince it to actually scroll there. I guess this would be a note. I don't know what it is about this particular um, file, but it sure seems like this file is a lot, I don't know, heavier or something in my Adobe Acrobat than most. Like it's currently saying it's not responding. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pause the recording so there'll be a little bit of discontinuity. You'll survive, I hope. I don't want to kill you. But and then we'll see if if it loads properly. I'll be back in a minute. All right, and pretty much as soon as I decided to pause the recording, it decided to start working. So whatever. So PowerPoints. Oh, I forgot to say 12. 12. 12 is my number of PowerPoints. So I need to, it says circle that. So I suppose clicking will circle. And then I also need to write it down as well. Okay, well, clicking did not in fact circle it for whatever reason. That's okay. It doesn't much matter. Oh, there we go. Okay. So clicking did in fact circle it. So I do have 12 PowerPoints available as of right now. Nice. All right. What else do we need then? Let's check. Just staring at the character sheet is not going to tell you, Professor. I also need my experience bonus, which is half my intelligence, rounded up. So my intelligence was 12, so my experience bonus is 6. Right, that makes it a little bit easier for you to gain experience, which helps you level stuff up. The one thing that I really like about basic role playing, I've not actually played a game using basic role playing. I think I soloed like a session once, and I didn't record it. But one thing that I do like about it is that how things improve is that you use them, and using them successfully makes things improve, right? So, and also they have a system where for you to improve, it's going to be more difficult the better you are at the thing, right? So what you do is, if you've used something, once you hit downtime after that point, you take everything that you've used, and you see there's a space here to like check mark. So you check mark something once you use it successfully, put a check mark by it. And then you do an experience check. And what you do, you roll your D100, you add in your experience bonus, and if that's higher than your current skill level, then you get to add some points to it. I forget exactly what it is. I know that if you succeed, I want to say it's like roll a D6 or something like that, right? So I forget exactly the details of it, but it's something along those lines. For human, move is 10. Well, I did see move up here. There it is. Right, so let's put 10 in there. All right, the next thing I need is personality type. So I get to roll a d4 to figure out my personality type, and that will give some skill points. Personality type, it's a 2. So what we know about him is that technique, craft, and expertise are the secrets of success. So we give 20 skill points each, right, to a number of things, right? So first, 20 skill points go to appraise. So I need to find where appraise is. Okay, so appraise is naturally a 15. That's what the 15 here means. So that means I get another 20 on that. That'd make me a 35 in appraise. Okay, and so I'll do that here in a minute. Also in the list is, there it is. Also in the list, we get any one craft. Huh. So does craft include things like working with electronics? I would guess so. Just like looking, it might be technical. So is it more about the manipulation or more about, hmm, that's a good question. Well, I think I'm just going to call it craft gadgets because it's not really about the knowledge of the thing, it's about the ability to make stuff. Right, so I think that is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to call this craft gadgets, and he would have 20 skill points added to that, which would give him again a 25. Not again 25. This is the first time we've had 20. Okay. The next one would be disguise. Oh, that's kind of fun. So disguise is typically a 1. Otherwise, it is going to be a 21 because we get to add 20 to it. All right. So there's 21. Dodge would be another one that is related to your combat here. So it naturally starts at your dex times 2. So what's his dex? His dex was like 10. It was 9, yeah. So 9 times 2 is 18, plus 20 would be 38. So he's fairly dodgy. That's good. It's always nice to have something you can do in a you know combat situation. So 38, excellent. Next then, fire manipulation. Oh, that's fun. I don't. Oh, no, no. Oh, okay. No, it's not fire manipulation. It is fine manipulation. I think that I had a smudge on my glasses or something. Is that? Now I'm really sad that he doesn't have fire manipulation. I should have taken that power instead, which is actually an option. Fire is an area of magic that you can actually have a specialty in. All right, so let's see. Fine manipulation is going to be eventually. It'll be a 25 because this will be 25 again. Right. And then we are going to have first aid is another one. Where is that one located? Okay, there. Oh, it's actually naturally a 30 without any training. Any one knowledge skill. So I'll think about that a little bit. Then navigate, pilot, ride, sleight of hand, stealth, and any one combat skill. Right, so fine manipulation, let's give him a, okay, that one's a 25, remember. First aid is now 30 plus 20 is 50. All right. And then anyone knowledge skill. Okay, I'm thinking the knowledge is going to be something like computers as well. Right, so craft is going to capture his ability to make the thing. Knowledge is going to capture his ability to like analyze the thing. Right, so knowledge computers. Now the way this is set up, it's a five if you have some like a society in which like there's just lots of general knowledge, or this is something you'd expect people in your society to maybe know a little bit about, or it's a zero if it's something that only specialists would know about. I think modern society, everybody knows a little bit about computers, so it would start at a five. All right, so okay, 25 then for that. Navigate, which would be another ability. Where is that? Oh, it's under perception. Okay, so navigate is naturally a 10, so it's going to be a 30. All right, then pilot. Pilot is naturally a 1, so that's going to go up to 21. It is not responding. I'll pause it for a second. All right, so I decided to just go ahead and fill in the other ones. So, reminder, based on personality, he got appraise, one craft, disguise, dodge, fine manipulation, not fire manipulation, first aid, any one knowledge skill, I chose computer, navigate, pilot, ride, sleight of hand, stealth, and any one combat skill. I decided that actually I like martial arts as a possibility here. That would also reflect his relatively high dodge, right? So that might be kind of why he's so good at that, is he also has some martial arts training. And I have a hard time imagining him having some kind. Weirdly enough, I don't see him carrying a gun. But I mean, not that it's impossible. I don't think he's like opposed to them or something. But it just doesn't fit my image of what he looks like. So, and the kind of stuff that he does. Now, the next one. Now, this is where um, one of the things that I dislike about basic role playing is this system right here, the skill point system, in that it's going to be asking me right now in a moment to make 370 decisions because what happens is everybody gets you pick a profession and then you get 250 points to assign to profession skills. So there's a list of like 10 profession skills. That's what defines the profession. And you can assign 250 points between those skills, and you have a maximum based on the level of your um, game. In my case, it's 75% is the highest I'm allowed to go. Uh, but that's a lot. That's 250 points. That's a lot. And then after you're done with that, you get based on your intelligence another set of skill points. So in my case, because I have intelligence of 12, I believe it was, Let me double check that just to make sure. Yes, intelligence of 12. That means I have another 120. So I literally have to make 370 different decisions here about okay, where does each of these points go? Now, naturally, what we're going to do is what human beings always do when you're faced with these really complicated decisions like this. We're not going to. Instead, we're going to simplify things. And this is something where I really liked what the a quick start. So if you can get a hold of the quick start, which I think you might actually, honestly, it might be available online for free somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised. If you can get a hold of the quick start for this, it did things a little bit differently. In that it didn't want to provide too many professions. They had a very limited set of professions. And then they also gave you, instead of saying, here, spend these 300 points however you want, it was in sets, right? So, like, add another 50 to each of 10 skills, right? Then pick 10 more skills to add 25 to. It was something like that. It was clearly not that because that'd be 750 points and it wouldn't be that much. But nonetheless, that was more or less the idea. So what I need to do now is I need to figure out which profession we're going to belong to. So there are a number of professions to choose from. If I can find the professions list, that is the trick. All right. Skip a bit. There's a list of professions. Okay. So it's artist, assassin, athlete, beggar, clerk, computer tech. Oh, computer tech. Okay, we found him. Never mind. I'm not going to keep reading. So computer tech it is. Computer tech. There we go. So his that determines two things. One is your wealth level within a range, so he's between average and affluent for the society. He gets craft for computer hardware or code, one knowledge skill, language other that is a programming language, repair electrical, repair electronics, research, science, mathematics, status, technical computer use, and choose one of the following skills as specialties as appropriate to the setting: accounting, hide, or knowledge of the law. So we have a total of one, like if we include like all the ors, so it's two different types of craft, one knowledge, a language, a repair, another repair, a research, a science, status, computer use, and then so there are 11 total if you include the or. That's that's significant. All right, so craft. I'm gonna say that like the gadgets. I think that overlaps with computer hardware. So I think I'm gonna say that's one. So what I think I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna divide these up evenly. Just give like 25 per one, and then I'm just gonna skip that last one. Right. So for computer, so craft, computer hardware. So I'm gonna add 25 to that. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. And you know what? I'm not gonna make you sit here and watch me wait for this thing to actually respond. So I'm gonna go ahead and add those things in, and then we'll think about the personal points where I want to throw those. So it's continuity. All right, I'm changing my mind. I Okay, I think rather than doing the whole thing even, I think what I'm going to do instead is choose five of them that I think are most relevant and do those ones. So, yeah, I'm going to do that. So we have then, I already have hardware code, and then I'm going to do a programming language. Yes. Um, and let's do the two repairs. So repair electrical, repair electronics. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the, you know what? This is being real annoying. Like my computer is still frozen on this character sheet. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know whether it's just like my Adobe Acrobat is angry with me or something, or maybe it's something about this sheet. I don't know. I've not tried it on another computer. But I think I am going to kind of speed run the rest of this, and I'm not going to bother putting it into the actual sheet itself at this point. It's, uh, it's just too annoying. I'm not going to do that. Right. So instead, let's just talk about it. Right. So we've got intelligence times 10. So I have 120 personal skill points that I can spend. I'm going to divide those up into six sets of 20, and that's going to make my life way easier. So I'm going to pick six things that I think he is able to do. Looking at that, I think I would up stealth. I think stealth, dodge, and martial arts. I'd up all of those, and then I want to up things like how about research, sense, and oh, gaming. Yeah, wait, no, gaming is probably gambling, isn't it? Yes, I'm not gonna do that one. I don't see him as a poker player. Maybe, possibly. It's one of those. I don't think he's opposed to it, but I don't see that as the big thing that he would spend a lot of time doing. And maybe some insight. That makes sense. That's always a good thing to have, right? So I think those might be the kinds of abilities that I would suggest there. The next thing that you can do is distinctive features. Right, so, distinctive features, and I get to determine the number of distinctive features based on charisma. Right, so charisma, basically, the more average it is, the fewer distinctive features you have. So charisma 11, 11 is very average. Right, so he only has one distinctive feature, and then I get to roll a d10 to determine what it is. So there's something distinctive about his arm or hands. Well, I think what it would be distinctive about his arm or hands. Uh, well, and this is something. Let's look. They do have some examples in the book that you can look at. So, looking at that, trying to turn to an appropriate page. PDFs are just not being very happy with me today. All right, distinctive features. Okay, I think I'm almost there. Distinctive features. Nope, still in professions. No, the distinctive I must have passed them. Of course. Oh, goodness, Professor. Oh, here we go. Okay. So, arms and hands. So things like a birthmark, bracelets or arm jewelry, bulging biceps. Well, his strength isn't what it once was. Calloused hands, deeply tanned, hairless, hairy, knobbly eyebrows, no elbow. If you have eyebrows on your hands, that would be distinctive, and that's certainly true. Left-handed, long arms, long fingernails, muscular again. One arm longer than the other, a finger missing. Okay. Okay, the number of ways in which they say muscular is hilarious. Bulging biceps, muscular, and powerful arms and hands. And I suppose all these do have slightly different feels to them. But okay, I think I'm going to go with very pale skin. Because one thing about R is that he is generally like covered with the exception of like his face and even traditionally the way that I imagine the mage, he actually wore gloves all the time. So the gloves actually could possibly be something, except that would be more to the clothes category. So I'm going to say like his hands are unusually pale. So I think maybe that's a distinctive feature. Seems distinctive, right? All right, so we'll go with that. There's our distinctive feature. Now that's step 8. So now we get into step 9. Step 9 is armor and equipment. This is actually extremely straightforward in that there isn't like a specific set of rules. It's just like this. You have complete set of clothing or clothing as appropriate in the setting. You have an amount of pocket money based on your character's wealth level. So I would have an average to affluent amount of money in my pocket, basically. Personal item showing some relation to your character's family, possibly an heirloom, keepsake, or some trinket of little relative value, but having some emotional connection. See, that's something when I thought out R, I never imagined what his family was like. Um, I imagine him being very disconnected from his family in some way, and I don't know why. I mean, and he could be orphaned. That'd be an obvious way, and that's how many protagonists are orphans, or at least effectively orphans. Um, that's a possibility. So maybe that's it. So maybe he has something like a picture of his mother or something like that who died while he was young. Let's do that. It's not particularly unique, but nonetheless that is classic. That's what we'll do. we'll say it's classic. Any trade tools, equipment suitable, we already talked about that. Any weapon that your character has a skill of over 50%. And well, I actually decided not to do a weapon and study his martial arts. So yes, he in fact does have um, hands and feet. Based on the setting and the campaign, your character's profession, their status, skill, your character may have an appropriate vehicle, so something like an automobile would be a reasonable thing. And no specific rules for finances are provided, suggested well the profession, blah, blah. Okay. All right, and then that leaves, finally, background and final grooming. So basically, if you don't have a name already, you pick one, and then you fill in some of like the blank spaces. So things like what's his culture like, height and weight. So height and weight, I've said he's very average, like 5'10". Professionally, we've already established that he's kind of computer tech. His wealth level is in that kind of average to affluent. I don't think he's very clearly one or the other. I think he's kind of that upper middle kind of range as far as that goes. Okay, so I think that that does reasonably well. Talking a little bit about the system. So one thing that I think definitely probably came out of this video is that personally, I am finding this particular PDF to be very difficult to work with. Now, I don't know whether it might be like my computer's just not happy with me at the moment, or it may be, I don't know, my RAM space is filling up or something, maybe. Or it might be something with the coding of this PDF potentially. So all to say, be warned that if you do download the fillable version of this and it's not working very well, maybe you should just print it. That's probably what I should have done in hindsight. But, you know what they say about hindsight, it's pretty good. So I think we're going to wrap it there. Thank you for putting up with this. And I'll be back with another video at some point. This is Prof E, signing off.